if you can't communicate with the rest of the world, you can't communicate with anybody else on those other networks, right? So the next step to the growth of the network is to build those bridges to connect Ethereum to Harmony, which we've already done, as well as connecting to other chains like Binance Smart Chain to Bitcoin, which is a completely different consensus model. We'll talk about that in a minute. But now as you start connecting these chains, right, these isolated economies are now connected. They're working together, and layer one starts to become transparent. Doesn't really matter whether you're on Ethereum or Harmony or Algorand or Phantom or whatever your favorite pet chain is, right? Eventually, users won't even know what chain they're on because it's not going to matter. It's all going to be connected, just like streets connect our cities. All right, bridges connect our islands. They also connect our networks. All right, so that's kind of a baseline there. It helps you understand, hopefully I didn't just confuse you, and I kind of laid out the network and how it works together. And then you've got these amusement parks, everything you can do on each network, which kind of starts to blend together and work together. So that's the first thing that I want you to understand about Harmony is that it's collaborative. Okay, there's some networks out there you'll find, and network is interchangeable with blockchain in my mind, but there's some networks out there that are combative. All right, their communities are toxic and they're ETH killers, right? They're going to take over the world all by themselves. Hogwash. They're not doing anything. They're going to lose, right? Because we're stronger together in every case, in every example. So as the chains work together and build those regulations, almost those protocols and standards of the future that allow these networks to intercommunicate, well, that opens up all sorts of doors for all parties involved. All right. So before I jump into the slideshow that I use on my Harmony Ambassador presentation, actually, did you introduce me, man? Should I start there? Hi, everybody, by the way. Sorry about that. I can't hear you if you're speaking. Hello? John, Tanner?
Hello?
Sorry, man.
Can you hear me now?
I can, yeah. I launched right into like a baseline, Eli 5 style, but I never really introduced myself. Did you already do that?
I did, but we would love to hear it straight from you if you want to go ahead.
Nah, I'm nobody special, man. I'm just somebody here to share knowledge.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So do you have me set as a co-host where I'm going to be able to share my screen?
Yep, you're up on the TV so everybody can see whatever you put up.
It says you've disabled participant screen sharing.
All right, give me 1 second on that.
No worries. If you go to participants and up arrow, I believe you can just like click next to me and make me a co-host, and then I should be able to share. I've never done this before, I swear.
Okay, should be good to go now.
All right, cool beans. So let's go back to the previous question before I ask the last question of did you bother to say hey about me? Did y'all have any questions over what I just kind of spoke about? I know it was a lot of abstract information. I'm not sure how new some of you are. Feel free to ask questions. I promise I won't make fun of you. And if somebody else does, I'll go into comedian mode and clown them.
Okay. I think we're all good to go ahead.
All right, rock on. Then we shall share screen. We'll do this one right here. All right, do you guys see the Harmony and its ecosystem slide up?
Yes, we do.
All right, perfect. So again, this says Nashville because I'm a Harmony ambassador for the Nashville area. And this is one of the slideshows I use at my meetups when I kind of do exactly what we're doing right here. All right, so Harmony. like I was saying, I mean, I'm not going to read this slide. I'm pretty sure y'all can read, and John and Tanner have a copy of this slideshow if anybody wants it for future reference. But it's an open platform for assets, right? The whole point is to be collaborative in this space. Harmony is kind of viewed out as an experiment. The founders recognized that this technology, much like the internet and computing in the 80s and 90s, is in a constant state of evolution, right? Unlike some chains where they have a hard and fast roadmap, they know exactly where they're doing, they're locked in place for the next 5 years. Harmony's not playing that game, and I commend them for it. They have a very agile roadmap with goals for the end of the year, understanding that the space is pivoting so quickly. Things are changing so rapidly as the next version of the internet develops that they need to be able to change direction on a dime. So they've designed this chain and their organization, the foundation that's helping to build the tech behind it, to be very agile, very technically savvy, and move things forward, as well as collaborating with all of their chains to do so. Which brings us into the founders. There is an amazing amount of experience on the founding team. Stephen C., the brainchild, already built and sold 2 companies as an entrepreneur. The second one was something to do with IMAPs. He sold his company to Apple. Apple then hired him to run that company until he eventually left and started Harmony, along with some other notable characters who have decades of experience working for the big data firms of today, like Google, Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon. All right, so a little bit of the history here. Harmony goes live in 2019. At that point, it was a proof of work chain, right? Proof of work is like what Bitcoin is now. You have to have a really strong computer, and in Bitcoin's case, a specialized computer, to crack an algorithmic hash. First computer or pool of computers to break the hash and solve the mathematical equation essentially wins the prize and gets awarded with cryptocurrency. And that is how a proof of work network is secured. That's how they know that the actors are legitimate. There's a lot more behind it, but I'm not going to bore you with the technicals. That's a whole nother presentation and a lot longer than this one. So at its peak, Harmony has gotten up to like a top 50, valued at over 3 billion. This slide shows a little bit dated. They're actually working this Friday on updating it. It's probably about 6 months old. So some of that information, like the 3 billion, is outdated. That's bad. When I think they did this, Harmony was valued at like 15 cents, and now it's about 10, just because the whole market has been fluctuating, stocks and everything. The future, right? Where are we going? They want to bridge between all blockchains. As I described, the islands are isolated until they bridge. Well, Harmony understands that, and they want to bridge to everybody, to work with everybody, to collaborate, build these protocols out, implement what's best. All right. Now, I mentioned that Harmony went live as proof of work. They switched over to proof of stake in 2020. So they've already shown that they have the technical skill and ability to change the underpinnings of the blockchain as the space evolves. And that's one of the things that I like to look for, right? How well the team can adapt, innovate, and respond to the growing needs and changes in the industry. So, yeah, I think that they're doing very well and well positioned there, though I am a Harmony ambassador, so I am obviously biased. Again, with some of the dated information. This is all from several months ago. It's closer to probably 1.3 or 1.5 billion now. A lot more wallets and a lot more apps. I don't really keep track of this because I'm not really worried about the numbers and the money side of it. I'm more about enabling community to join the blockchain revolution. Because I know I said in the beginning, it's not a revolution, but in a way it sort of is, a very peaceful one. All right. Does anybody have any questions thus far? I know I've blown through a few slides there. Thumbs up will do from somebody in the middle there if maybe John doesn't have to mess with the Or Tanner doesn't have to mess with it.
One question, I believe.
Excellent.
Hey, how you doing? I was gonna just ask if you could just speak on the staking protocols of Harmony, or if there are any staking protocols of Harmony One.
There sure is. Excellent question. Because I said they switched from proof of work protocol over to I believe they said to proof of stake, but I never really explained what that was. And yes, they did switch over from proof of work to proof of stake in 2020, which allows you to then take your Harmony One tokens and delegate or stake them to a validator to help secure the network. I don't want to go too deep into the different consensus methods, but we talked about proof of work a little bit. Proof of stake is almost more like a popularity contest, right? Because with the way it's intended to work, isn't just that you delegate or stake your Harmony One or whatever tokens there are on any chain with the biggest validator, all right, or necessarily with the one that has the best return. The intent there is to help secure the network, right? To delegate your one to a validator that you trust to run the network. That's what staking and delegating, while it can be lucrative on your side, that's the intent of it. That's the purpose of staking, is you casting your vote for that validator saying, I believe that they're a good person to run this network or a good group, and they're not going to attack the network, right? So in reality, if you're going to be staking, you should get involved in the community. You should find the validator. If they have a community, talk to them, find out where they're going, what they stand for, find out how they're going to vote in the next governance vote, right? Do you agree with them? Because if not, you might not want to stake with them, because your stake gives them more power in the votes. So something to think about when staking. It can be very lucrative, but if you're just looking to make money, there's other ways to do it. DeFi can be far more lucrative than staking, but staking is commendable. It's also a lot more stable because there's virtually no way you're going to lose your stake. There are typically some slashing methods in the event that the validator you're staking to attacks the network, but the chances of that happening, of a malicious validator attacking the network, are virtually nil. So it's not likely to happen, but it is a possibility. So it's good to understand that there's nothing in crypto that is no risk. There's no such thing as an investment, especially not one as lucrative as cryptocurrency and blockchain, that is completely risk off. But staking is one of the safer ways to get a return on your cryptocurrency without a lot of risk. Did that answer your question, or do you want something more specific, like the website for Harmony One, staking.harmony.one?
I think that was perfect. Thank you.
All right. All right. Any more questions?
One more.
Let's do it.
And for those of us a little bit more risk inclined, where can we find the craziest, risk, highest rewards? Can you give drop any websites?
I don't want to, because it's really irresponsible, because you will lose most of your money and most of you will lose all of your money by doing this. However, the way to get rich overnight is less likely than getting it on the lottery ticket. Let's be real. But if you're going to do it, it's day one of a project, before they have their website, when they just have a channel and everybody's going, is this a scam? And you dump some money in it, because that's when it's most lucrative, because nobody knows, nobody trusts it. The price is typically really low. And then as time goes on, they build that website that they said they were going to build. And then they have that update that they said they were going to have. And maybe you put a little bit more money in because they build trust, right? But initially, do not put much in there, because those type of investments, you could turn $100 into several $1,000s and possibly even tens of thousands of dollars if you really find the right lottery ticket. It happens.
Wow.
Last
question for you, Art.
I got really lucky, and with $40,000, I turned it into a sum that at its peak was over $140 million.
Whoa.
It started as $40 million or $40,000, right? I later got hacked and lost pretty much all of it. So be careful. There's a lot of security, and that's a whole nother conversation. that you need to have. If you don't know what a mnemonic and a private key is and how important they are, you need to stop and figure that out before you put any money into cryptocurrency.
Mm.
All right.
That's why
So
we're here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the biggest parts of cryptocurrency is taking personal responsibility, right? Taking your money out of the bank and putting it into cryptocurrency, another form of money and another form of currency. And that's another thing to look up for you, some homework. Look up and learn the difference between money and currency. There is a difference. And when you start to unravel that one, you realize how important cryptocurrency is.
Ogre, can you hear me?
Irresponsible. Pardon?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
One last question for you. I know we're coming up on time, right, Tanner? Say it again. Okay. Oh, you're not done. Keep going. I'm sorry. I thought that we were in the Q&A phase.
No worries. Okay. There's only a few more slides here.
Awesome.
And we've already kind of talked about a lot of it. Layer one, it is its own layer one chain, just like Bitcoin and Ethereum. However, because it's bridged bidirectionally to several chains, it acts as a layer two for them, just like Polygon or some of the rollups, Arbitrum on Ethereum, because it has a two-way trustless bridge between Harmony and Ethereum. It works as a layer two, even though it's got really low layer one fees. All right. This is just a comparative chart. Putting Harmony next to ETH, ETH2, Cosmos, and Polkadot. You guys can get this slideshow from Tanner and John. I emailed it to him. So if you guys want these numbers for anything, you can go ahead and pull that. Again, these are somewhat dated. Like the ETH EVM, I'm pretty sure we're well past 199 at this point. But a few months ago, this was accurate. All right, cross-chain compatible. We kind of talked about that. The fact that we're bridging between networks. They've also crossed a major hurdle, which doesn't sound like much, but they've bridged proof of work and proof of stake chains. What does that mean? That means they've bridged Bitcoin to Harmony. And that's actually a really big thing once you realize that the reason rich people don't pay taxes is they never sell their assets. What they do is they put their assets in some sort of project, program, or bank and let them accrue interest and value while they take loans out against those assets, right? They never sell the assets, so they never incur the tax, and they live off of a loan. That's how they avoid the taxes. In the future, what you're going to see is people sitting on Bitcoin, never selling it, taking loans out against their Bitcoin to live off of as Bitcoin continues to accrue value. And maybe they'll take some of that money they've borrowed against Bitcoin to make some other moves, make some money there, pay some taxes there, but they're not paying taxes on their primary holdings, which is in the future going to be a significant amount of Bitcoin, very probably. All right, what else we got on here? Someone changed, talks about how it plays well with others because they're already jumping on the EVM standard, right? I talked earlier about the importance of the blockchains and networks working together, developing standards. EVM was the first. It's the Ethereum virtual machine. It's a way of basically making it so that a developer on Ethereum can easily port their code over to Harmony or any other EVM compatible chain. Is EVM the best? Good question. Maybe. Time will tell. There are other ways to program out there. I am not a developer, so I'm not even going to begin to scratch that surface. But there's been some talk that there will be other things that are better than EVM, and there may already be. So that is something to think about. But again, if you're on a blockchain that knows how to adapt, pivot, they're going to implement that over time, right? Again, I'll go back to the very beginning. It's about community. All right, NFTs and gaming, two big things that people love nowadays. Harmony is all over both of them. They've got multiple NFT marketplaces, lots of games, as well as GameFi projects that are developing. My favorite is DeFi Kingdoms. I am a gamer nerd who doesn't have time to play a lot of games as much as I used to. DeFi Kingdoms allows me to basically play my video games and make money doing it. Like that's legitimately how I support myself nowadays, is through blockchain gaming. It pays my bills, keeps a roof over my head and my children fed. Yep. Questions, comments thus far on these slides that we've covered?
I think we might have to hold the rest of the questions till the end, but
Okay, sounds good. We're almost there. All right. One of the things that Harmony wants to do is provide financial freedom. Harmony recognizes that the future is an interesting one, and we are in a vast time of change. If your job is easy to explain, you will be replaced by automation or robotics in the next 5 to 10 years. That's not a guess, that's a fact. The cost of employing a human is going up. The cost of replacing a human with a robot or software is going down. It will eventually reach an equilibrium where it makes sense to have that automated instead of giving you a paycheck. So how do we survive? All right, you've probably heard of universal basic income. It's kind of a buzzword and kind of a bad word, depending on what circles you're in, but something along that nature needs to come up, a way for you and I to make money remotely without having a traditional 9-to-5 job, but use our skills and our superpowers, which everybody has, to feed our kids. All right. And that's what they're gearing towards. Staking helps with that. There's other projects like the Anchor protocol, which is actually on another blockchain, not on Harmony, but you can trade your crypto for a UST, which is a stable coin that's essentially pinned in value to the US dollar, and earn almost 20% interest on it a year, just by putting your dollars in the bank, basically, but doing it on the blockchain instead of in a brick and mortar bank. That being said, there are risks there. The stable coin can lose its peg, so make sure you do some research. Moving on, giving you guys lots of information to go research about DAOs. All right, and this is Harmony's biggest push right now, and what's probably going to be very interesting to all of you. Harmony wants to pay you, right? They are spinning up. Their goal is supporting 10,000 DAOs with over $300 million allocated to support those 10,000 DAOs. So you can do some quick math there. Each DAO could potentially get a significant amount of money. Here's some example of the DAOs they're doing over on the right. What is a DAO? Don't get too spun up about it, because a DAO is pretty much equivalent to the metaverse. It's a freaking buzzword. All right, it stands for decentralized autonomous organization. What the hell does that mean? All right, if Walmart's board of directors was working from home, and instead of like talking, they just hit a key on a keyboard, and that meant I approve this, then they would be a decentralized autonomous organization. Okay, so don't get hung up on what it is. Figure out what you want to do and how you make that fit into the definition of a DAO, right? Harmony isn't here to tell you what a DAO is. They're here to let you experiment. Nobody knows what a DAO is right now. People are still trying to figure out. And one of you sitting in the crowd right now might have that magnificent idea that changes everything. All right. So how do you want to help the urban environments of downtown DC? How do you want to educate them about cryptocurrency? Virginia, how do you want to educate our legislators, right? So that they can make good laws. How do you want to educate our law enforcement personnel so that they can help protect people when they're taken advantage of by hackers, and hopefully track them down and go get the money back, right? How can you do something? A reminder of a famous quote, ask not what your country can do for you, what you can do for your country. That's what a DAO is. How do you contribute back to the community to make it better, make it stronger? And the best way to do that is to educate those around you, those you care about, those who you have some sort of connection with, however that is, and help them find the way, help them find financial freedom, strengthen their lives. And that is a QR code that will take you to the DAO page for further information. You can scan that QR code. It has all sorts of info for you to continue reading about DAOs and how you can become a DAO or start a DAO, and the form you need to fill out to get that ball rolling. That concludes the slideshow. I'll leave that up while we go ahead and take any questions with any remaining time we have. I know you guys are running behind, so if we need to drop off, you've got my socials. Well, you've got my Telegram anyways. I'll drop my Twitter in there for you guys, Tanner and John as well. And anybody can follow up with questions if we're out of time here.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any quick questions? We probably got time for one, maybe two. I'm gonna start over here, come back to you.
Hi, I wanted to know what games you're playing to pay your bills.
Well, if you remember that game that I dropped a bit of money on that paid off hugely, and then I got hacked and lost most of it. I only lost most of it, and I didn't lose my heroes. So I'm still able to play the game and generate income by, there's actually like 5 different ways you can make money in that DeFi Kingdoms game. And that's been one of my best ones. That's also the one that I preferred. So at the time I found the team, I fell in love, and I made a bigger commitment to that one financially because I knew that I was also committing my time, right? That's how I roll in cryptocurrency. There's different ways to do it. There's degen style, just throw some money at it, knowing that you don't care about the project. And 2 days later, you're going to take all the money out you can, and you don't care about the community, the devs, or whoever else you're hurting when you do it, right? There's people that make money that way. I don't prefer to do it that way. I'm not judging anybody that does do it that way. To each their own, right? But the way I do it is I invest my money, then I invest my time. I help the project grow. And then after 6 or 12 months, the project has been successful with my help. I extract some of the value I put in. And that's how I've been successful in numerous games. My biggest win was DeFi Kingdoms. I'm also in Splinterlands, Gods Unchained, and a couple other that the way I invested early in it, they're still making me a little bit of money, but I wouldn't recommend anybody getting into them at this point.
I wanted to ask you one other question on gaming. What's your take on Axie, and is Harmony in any exchanges that can exchange with Axie directly?
I missed the boat with Axie. There's a lot of people that made a lot of money. Their scholarship program has lifted a lot of people out of poverty. I am very proud of what Axie has done for the blockchain space and the world at large. But unfortunately, I really never got into it. I focused elsewhere. The blockchain space is so big that you can't, like, even in just the gaming niche, you can't follow everything. There's over 10,000, probably over 20,000 at this point, different blockchains. Each blockchain is its own amusement park. Each amusement park has its own set of games. So you can imagine how many cool games there are out there that could win, that could find a niche and build a community, and that could keep that game alive, as well as, if they grow a big enough community, even keep a blockchain alive, because then just the community members keep the blockchain running, right? So that's why I always go back to community. Blockchain is community. I think I answered the question. I know I went sideways there a little bit.
Thank you. One last question for you here.
Yeah.
Hi, can you provide a brief explanation of mining and also how possibly, no, later? All right.
I'm sorry, I missed the second part of that. I was laughing at the description of mining, because that's going to be a fun one. What was the second part?
I think we're gonna come back to that question towards the end of the presentation. We were trying to keep it moving.
Gotcha. So the nebulous answer is mining is pretty much whatever you want to be. I jump on a YouTuber stream once a week after he's done fiat mining, i.e. his day job. Mining, when it was first talked about with cryptocurrency, was associated with proof of work, where you had a really powerful computer trying to beat all the other powerful computers in the world to solve a mathematical algorithm or break a hash. By doing so, you convert the electricity you spend running that computer into another form of currency, Bitcoin, assuming you were able to break the hash first and you were awarded that block, or you were part of a pool, right? If you only have one computer and you don't have enough power to ever successfully complete a block, you join what's called a mining pool, contribute your resources, computing power, RAM, to that pool of other computers as well, and everybody works together to computationally solve the algorithm. So that was kind of the next form of mining. Now there's all sorts of forms of mining. Like I said, Harmony is proof of stake. So you mine cryptocurrency through staking. Just by saying, I am going to stake my Harmony 1 or Ethereum to an Ethereum validator or Polygon to a Polygon validator, you stake your layer 1 coin to the validators of that network, and that is mining. You get rewarded for it. And then there's other chains, other consensus methods that we could go down a rabbit hole there for a while. And there's different forms of mining, but those are right now the two most common: proof of work mining, where you run a computer, and proof of stake mining, where you delegate or stake your base layer coin to a validator.
Perfect. Thank you. And so that's going to be the last of our questions. I'll make sure that I share these slides and all this information with everybody here and everybody who's curious about it. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
No worries. Thank you guys for putting this on, and thank all of you out there in the crowd for getting out and learning this stuff. It will serve you well in the future. Please reach out, join the community, send any questions you got.
For sure. Will do. Thank you. Thank you.
Cheers.
All right. You have a great day.
You as well.
So yeah, now we're moving to Vlad.